Daddy and I are in Mound Bayou, Mississippi today. Welcome. Let's explore and look around a bit.
The Louisville, New Orleans, and Texas Railroad was granted a large tract of land in the state. This was done to encourage the development of agriculture, trade and commerce, and the fertile delta along the Mississippi River from Memphis to Vicksburg. As a result, Mound Bayou was established. Railroad company officials believed that only members of the black race had the ability to adapt to life in a semi-tropical climate which was conducive to malaria. The assistance of Isaiah Montgomery was sought to help with recruiting African American workers. Montgomery, realizing that this offered another opportunity for black self-government, immediately started feasibility studies. He finally decided upon the site of present town of Mound Bayou, named for a large Indian mound located at the site of the convergence of two bayous which drained the region. As we begin to look at Mr. Montgomery's home, let's consider that many of the settlers that came from Alabama and Georgia and Louisiana all came at the inspiration of Mr. Montgomery, and they began to conquer the wilderness. Besides the inspiration of Montgomery, these settlers had one common motivation. They wanted to live free from the unnecessary restraints imposed by continued resistance to the basic concepts of universal equality. The prosperity of the times can be attributed to Mound Bayou's location along the railroad. It's located in fertile Mississippi Delta, and it allowed the Mound Bayou area to produce cotton on a scale greater than any other region in the state. Under the leadership of Montgomery, Mound Bayou, by the turn of the century, had developed into one of the more prosperous and thriving communities in the state. Mound Bayou Oil Mill and Manufacturing Company was dedicated on November the 12th, 1912. Julius Rosenwald, CEO of Sears, Roebuck & Company, was the primary investor. The venture was an offspring of the Mississippi State Negro Business League, an auxiliary branch of the National Negro Business League. Charles Banks was a successful African American entrepreneur when it came to Mound Bayou to support economic development for racial uplift. Banks's most important efforts were probably the establishment of the Bank of Mound Bayou and the founding of the Mound Bayou Cotton Oil Mill. Along with 15,000 other people, Booker T. Washington attended the dedication of the Cotton Oil Mill and called Banks the most influential Negro businessman in the United States. In 1942, Taborian Hospital opened, serving African Americans from all over the Delta. A Delta State University professor points out just how revolutionary that was. Just being able to walk through the front door of a hospital and immediately receive the care you need. Not having to go through a back door, not having to wait for white patrons to get their needs serviced first. That happened here in Mound Bayou. On March 4th, 1908, Theodore Roosevelt Mason Howard was born. He was a wealthy doctor, a successful entrepreneur, and a civil rights activist. In 1942, after finishing his medical degree, he came to the hospital at Mound Bayou, Mississippi, as their first chief surgeon. In 1947, Howard left the Knights and Daughters Hospital and founded the Friendship Clinic. Howard first broke onto the national scene in 1955 when he became involved in the Emmett Till affair. Howard lived near where Till was murdered and turned his home into a command center for reporters, witnesses, and investigators searching for evidence. Howard continued to speak out for civil rights and then relocated to Chicago after receiving death threats for his role in the Till case. Before the Emmett Till affair in 1951, Howard founded the Regional Council of Negro Leadership. One of its officials was Medgar Evers. The council mounted a successful boycott against service stations, distributing 20,000 bumper stickers bearing the slogan, "Don't buy gas where you can't use the restroom." This house at one time served as residence and medical office for Dr. Howard. While in Mound Bayou, he founded an insurance company, a restaurant, a hospital, home construction firm, and a large farm where he raised cattle, quail, honey dogs, and cotton. He also built a small zoo and a park, as well as the first swimming pool for blacks in Mississippi. Mound Bayou still has a U.S. post office, but at one time had 6 churches, stores and banks, and several public and private schools. Its economy depended on the production of cotton, timber, and corn. Mound Bayou's population swelled to 8,000 people by 1911. It still has very desirable real estate even today, but a noticeable decline occurred during the Great Migration period from 1915 to 1930. Cotton prices fell, and the black path towards freedom was redirected from independent towns toward major cities. My all-time favorite place to visit while in Mound Bayou, Mississippi is Peter's Pottery. In 1998, the Woods brothers took all the resources they had to open a 10 by 17-foot shop to sell pottery on Fortune Avenue. The work area was 4,000 square feet. I recently visited Peter's Pottery, and they were so busy that I just didn't think I ought to impose on the owners and ask them things about the history of their business and the like. So I'm stealing the information they have on their website. If you would like to view their website, it's peterspottery.net, or just Google Peter's Pottery, P-E-T-E-R-S Pottery. The original building was built by the brothers on land that one of them owned. Many times they bargained and bartered for building supplies. In fact, the cypress inside the building they got from a swap with the owners of Linden Plantation on Lake Washington. This is truly a family business, and you're always treated with kindness and respect. The family, in fact, asked to be included in the Mound Bayou city limits so the town of 1,500 would receive sales tax benefits. In turn, the town received a grant to pave the road and extend water and sewer services to the growing business. A sense of family permeates the business and contributes to the personal touch that characterizes it. To quote an article by Sharon Neff, it could be said that many things have come out of Mississippi mud. The blues, exceptional writers, rich forest, and vast fields of cotton and soybeans. In Mound Bayou, Mississippi, a family has taken Mississippi mud and built a thriving business known across the country and around the world. It's Peter's Pottery. In the same article, Peter says that they introduce 3 or 4 new pieces each year. Some of these new pieces will come from request, and some will be just what they like. For instance, this cotton white, their newest color. The Woods brothers also sponsor 4 scholarships for local high school seniors each year. As you finish looking around at their pottery, Big Daddy and I hope you've enjoyed your visit to Mound Bayou today. We hope you've learned something of their rich and colorful past. And honestly, we hope that you can come visit it for yourself sometime soon.
Let's
Thank you.
see. She was looking.